Hello, everyone. So, with the election literally not too far away, the presidential election in Ireland pretty much going to probably be the first week in November, as far as we know, because going by the Irish Constitution, there has to be an election before the drought in November. So, pretty much either the first week in November, pretty much it has to, or the second week. But it has to be pretty much done by the drought in November for a new president to be sworn in. Who that will be, we still probably don't know. We still don't know in general who's going exactly. But anyway, I want to get into the discussion about the presidential election because they're an awful long time compared to every other country. The United States is every 4 years, and the majority of countries every 4 years. The same in Finland. The same majority countries is every 4 or 5 years, give or take. Some cases it's majority countries are 4 years, and maybe some countries are 5 years. But the Irish one is 7 years. Every 7 years that the presidential election is. So Michael D. Higgins, the current president, has been there for 14 years, long time, nearly 14 years, give or take. Which is an awful long time. 14 years is a huge. 2011 was when Michael Higgins was elected president of Ireland. It seems like it's a long time ago, really. And I know some people say it's not that long ago, but it really is. Thinking back to it, because I remember watching it when I was a young lad on the TV, the swearing in ceremony of the president. And it's an awful long time ago. Like, it's just thinking about it, it's an awful long time. But I suppose to raise the question, this is what I'm talking about, that is why is the presidential election, I suppose, should it be every 4 years, the same as Dáil Éireann elections, and the same as local authority and European Union elections? Personally, and the reason why, let's be honest, first of all, the reason why it's every 7 years, because the presidency, if you look at Bunreacht na Héireann, the Irish Constitution, the Constitution clearly states in every state of the world that the presidency is only a ceremonial position. It's not a political position. If you want to have political change or political movement in the country, you start a party, you go to Dáil Éireann or Seanad Éireann. They're the parties they're the power of the state, pretty much. The presidency is pretty much a rubber stamp job. There's no really powers. You can't issue executive orders. You can't do anything like that. You can't really have much an opinion too. You can't really raise your voice. You're a symbol of the country, commander-in-chief of the army, of course. But again, that's a ceremony where you don't have any great say what the army does or how it operates, etc., etc. The only thing you really have is in terms of the laws of the land. You can refer legislation to the Supreme Court 3 times, and then after that you have to sign it or convene a state council. That's pretty much the only powers of the presidency. So it wouldn't make sense, pretty much, to have an election every 4 years for an office that pretty much in the nicest possible terms does nothing and gets paid a lot of money for doing it. So I suppose that's the reason why, because the presidency was never foreseen, I suppose, back in the day when 1937, the Irish Constitution, the current Constitution we're talking about, obviously with some modifications over the years. But it never was foreseen that, because again, the separation of powers was the idea that one section of government shouldn't have huge amount of powers. Take for example, that's why we have Shannon and Dáil Éireann, in theory, that the powers are separated. And then the powers of the president are separated too, but are very limited, of course, because our power really much lies in Dáil Éireann in the Taoiseach. The president doesn't have any power really pretty much over the state. The day-to-day one of the state or anything is the government. The government and the presidency is a very different thing. But yeah, that's pretty much why, because there's not really much power. Like, take for example governments, and this is the way I've explained it, like a government, a general election, take for example, that we had in last November gone by. Governments can change. Obviously people don't like policies of different governments Fianna Fáil for the last 30 years, but people have an opportunity to vote in a different government. People's opinions change over time. Even this 1 month somebody could be for Fianna Fáil. I don't know why you would, but some people could, and then the next day they'd be for Fine Gael. Like, the two of them were one the same, but for Labour Party, the Social Democrats, whatever. But that's why the general election, and obviously then it has more political, the government that's in, ministers, TDs, etc., have more political power in terms of doing things and actually doing stuff than the presidency. And again, it's only a really pen-pushing job, pretty much. It's not really anything powerful. But 14 years is an awful long time, particularly because the Irish Constitution does state too that you can only serve 2 consecutive terms. That you can't just serve for 4 or 5 years, 5 terms, because you would literally be half your life. Because every 7 years is an awful lot. Like, it is an awful lot. I really would recommend that we go every 5 years. It would be a lot better than 7 years, because it's an awful lot. Like, 7 years is an awful long time. And for Michael Higgins to be there for 14 years is a long time too. That's why there's not many persons of Irish history. It's only 1937. The Governor General used to be pretty much the President of Ireland, the British Governor General. And then obviously him and De Valera changed the Constitution in 1937 to pretty much take away the power of the King and the Governor General, the King's representative of Ireland, to have the presidency instead. Which was Douglas Hyde, of course, Dr. Douglas Hyde, who was the first President of Ireland. But yes, that was pretty much why it was designed. It was never really designed for any political office, really, like any kind of political power. It's pretty much a symbol of the country. That's pretty much what it's for. Now, there's a big debate to be had. Is it worthwhile having the presidency in the first place? Because it does nothing. Like, more than any other country, some majority presidents around the world have some more power than the Irish presidency. But the Irish presidency is unique because not many countries have every 7 years of an election. Because it is an awful long time. 14 years. An awful long time. Like, that's half of my life. I'm 32 at the moment. And that's literally half of my life that Michael Higgins has been President of Ireland. The only other president before me was Mary McAleese, yes. Mary McAleese before him. Mary Robertson left the office of the presidency to take up the role as EU High Commissioner of Human Rights, yes. Before I was born, yes. That was just about that time. It could have been, yeah, around that time, yeah. But anyway, let me know what do you take. Do you agree with that? Do you think it should be every 4 years? Do you think it should stay at 7? What do you take? Let me know. Thank you.